All right, let's bring in retired General Keith Kellogg, Fox News contributor and former national security advisor to President Trump and Vice President Pence. General, good to have you in the studio with us.
John, thanks for having me.
So you served alongside Colin Powell. Panama was one of the big deployments where you had a lot of contact with him. Your thoughts on his passing?
Yeah, John, thanks. He was an American icon. And there's two great stories about him. One is I was an assault brigade commander during the Panama invasion, and we were taking down targets the night of the invasion. And that night, after I'd come back in from taking targets, I was called by General Max Thurman and said, "Your dad died." And it was, a pretty emotional moment. We'd gone through a lot. And about 10 days later, Colin Powell, after the invasion came down as chairman of the Joint Chiefs, and he started his J2, his intelligence officer, started talking to me about the invasion. And Colin Powell stopped him, and he looked at me and he said, "Tell me about your dad. Tell me about your family." And we spent 5 minutes, and it just took me back. And what it showed to me, that's the kind of leader he was. He had real empathy about him and compassion about him. And it really struck me the kind of man he was. And then fast forward, about 9 months later, when I'm en route to the Gulf, as Chief of Staff of the 82nd Airborne Division, following my command tour, he came up with they had the Powell Doctrine, which we forgot about, which is fight with overwhelming force, fight to win. Bring the American people along with you and have a defined end state. And we forgot that. So when you look at him as both as a person and as a strategy guy, I mean, the Americans lost, America today lost an American icon. And really, I think about that a lot.
Yeah, it is a real tragedy that he passed away. I want to talk to you about something else that Jen Psaki was asked about, and that is China's test in August of this hypersonic space vehicle. You say that this could change the way that wars are fought.
Oh, absolutely. When you look at warfare, certain weapons can change how you conduct war. The machine gun, the tank, the submarine, the airplane. Now you've got a hypersonic weapon system out there that are fielded by both the Russians and the Chinese. And for the viewer out there, we're talking about a missile that travels at Mach 5 or higher. Mm-hmm. That means it goes 2 miles per second. We have no defenses against that right now. So that was part of my frustration about getting out of Afghanistan. We forgot strategically that the systems we ought to develop and the R&D that we ought to work with. But I think there's a way out of this. And I think it was a smart move to create a Space Force, because the only way you're really going to track this and maybe attack it is through a Space Command, a Space Force that has an ability to see orbiting satellites, to do something with those orbiting satellites, to pick up those missiles. And it's something we really need to think about. But again, it goes back to the strategy piece. I think we kind of lost the bubble on it. We actually started to create hypersonic missiles, and then the Defense Department went away from it.
In the Obama administration.
Yep, right. And we had DARPA looking at it, and then they did away with it. And now our two adversaries have them, and we don't.
Wow. Well, there's going to be lots to talk about in the weeks and months ahead on this particular point and others. General Kellogg, thank you for your recollections of General Powell as well.
Thanks, John.
Good to see you this afternoon. Senator?
John,